Hey, what's going on, everybody? Like, thank you all for tuning in to the show. I got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 56th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. We have a lot to discuss on the show today, but before we get into anything, we're going to start off with the UFC. A little bit of UFC and boxing. We had the UFC 208 last Saturday, and it was quite a controversial pay-per-view. We'll get right into it, man. Silva versus Brunson. Darnell, what did you think of this fight? I know you sent me some text messages the next morning, man. But
well, I mean, it was just kind of an all-around cluster. Like, point one, it was a terrible fight. Just between they took too long to feel each other out in the first round. The exchanges just were light. Partially it was an improvement from Silva on his defensive wrestling, but Brunson's offensive wrestling, like, he had no transitions to his game, so just looked like he was flopping at Anderson all the time and, getting caught in halfway chokes to stand back up. And just the scoring was terrible. I mean, even through the lackluster action, I mean, at least personally, I feel like Brunson controlled most of the fight, yet each judge had Anderson winning, even though I feel like he got outstruck, he got out-wrestled. I don't understand how Anderson won the fight outside of he's Anderson Silva.
Yeah, judges gave this scorecards for the fight. The two judges scored it 29-28, and one scored it 30-27. That one was just ridiculous. Anderson Silva for the unanimous decision.
Even coming from someone who is still trying to figure out what the UFC is. I mean, to see a card separated by 3 points in a fight where there was nobody clearly pulling away I agreed. I heard that score and I was like, what fight was that guy watching?
Yeah. Well, especially when Anderson spent like a majority of a round on his back and like really wasn't having any type of offense off of his back. So I don't know how he wins a round doing that.
Well, and I mean, his best offense was his defense, to be honest. Granted, every time Brunson went for the takedown, Silva was ready for it. He saw it coming a mile away. What did he stop? 9 of 11 takedown attempts?
Yeah, which is surprising for him because that's been his Achilles heel when he's facing wrestlers. If they can get in on his legs, they can usually take him. So kudos to him on that.
Yeah, anytime you can prevent a fight from going to the ground, unless that's your strong suit, you're doing yourself a favor. But like I said, I feel like every time Brunson went for the takedown, you just saw it coming. Like he was predictable.
Yeah, man. Props to Silva on that, but the takedowns, kind of look a little sloppy. I think if this was any other fighter that had good wrestling experience, I think they would have been able to take him down Silva. But I gave it. Y'all know I'm a huge Anderson Silva fan. I did think that he lost to this one. I just think Brunson was just more aggressive, and he outlanded him and everything in the fight. So. I did felt nervous, but, I'll take an Anderson Silva win any day, by any means. So it is what it is. And any other thoughts, guys, on the Silva versus Brunson fight?
No, just give me to the next fight.
All right, guys.
The next one's actually hopefully the next one's actually worth paying to see.
Yeah. Up next, we're going to get into Randomie versus Holly Holm. This was another controversial one. Just to give the scorecards, all three judges, they scored it 48-47. But what made it so controversial was that Randomie, she landed some late punches after the bell a couple of times in the fight, and the referee did not give a point deduction at all during the fight. So if the point, if it was just 1 point, we could have been looking at a tie, or, Holly Holm, she could have walked away with the belt. So this was another one. What did you guys think about that one?
Yeah, another fight where just the story of it is the judging. and officiating. Basically, you can't have a fighter throw punches after the bell twice. Like I could see the first time you give her a warning, hey, you do this again, I'm gonna have to deduct a point. The second time it happens, you have to take a point.
Yeah.
If she's not gonna restrain herself, the ref has to step in and restrain her for herself, I guess. And you take a point and show this is going to continue to happen if you do it again. So, because I mean, this is it put home in danger.
Yeah.
When she's supposed to be able to drop her guard and go back to her corner, there's a fist coming at her, and we don't know how much that affected her. I mean, you catch a clean shot and you have some cobwebs, even though you might not be visibly like totally rocked. There could still be some you got to shake off there, and a minute is not a long time to prepare for the next round. So, I definitely think ref dropped the ball there. There should have been a point taken. Yeah. I'm not going to go as far to say two. Accidents happen, so I would have been fine with a warning the first time, but a point should have happened on that second one, and we should have had a draw. And now Holly Holm is taking it to the athletic board to have it turned into a no contest, and I think she has a strong case.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I will give Randy me a little slight, understanding for the second one, just because I felt she got rocked at the end of Holly Holm. She caught her around the end of the round, so I don't know, like, when she got rocked, how she was feeling woozy. But, still, I do agree the point should have been taken on the second one, but just to give a little better just understanding around me, because Holly Holm, she did land a nice little flush punch on her that looked like it rocked her and stuff. And, if you get rocked, you could be a little woozy. You might not be thinking straight or anything like that. But I still do believe that a point should have been inducted. There should have at least been a draw. So, you have anything to say on that, Ty?
Yeah, I'll side with Darnell on this one. It seems like when there's a situation like that, any type of controversial after the bell stuff, if, the official doesn't get in and do something about it, the fight's going to get out of control. I joke around more about this with you guys. I love her being, he would have got in there and taken care of business, I'll tell you that. But,
yeah, man, you love her, man.
Yeah, I do. But, like you said, things happen, and, sometimes the punch starts flying right as the bell's going off and it lands, whatever. But, at the end of that second round, there was a clear punch thrown and landed after the bell, and that not being addressed is shocking, really. Point deduction should have happened. Now, I don't know if you guys know an exact answer, and I guess it would be, up to the official, but what would that normally, could that potentially end in disqualification? Constant lands after the bell. Could that be a disqualification to a fighter?
I mean, if it just kept happening, a ref should take progressive punishment on it. Like I said, a warning, point. And
I'm not saying that this
it's like, okay, you do it, stopping the fight. But that's within the ref's prerogative if they want to just call it and just say this fighter is uncontrollable. Like I'm calling it just because they won't listen. But yeah.
And like I said, I don't think it should have got to that point here, but I was just wondering if that falls within the parameters of the official.
Yeah. All right, now I want to see my girl Cyborg get the belt, but should Holm get an immediate rematch against Randomie?
This is a situation where I would say yes. I'm not usually a big fan of immediate rematches. Like, it has to be a razor thin fight. But I mean, this is a fight that she probably should have gotten a draw in. So, I mean, I hate to see a fighter get screwed over in a fight. So I would think this one would be worthy of a rematch for.
Yeah, I can agree with that for sure, because this, like I said, 1 point could have ended in a draw, or, 2 could have ended with a different winner. So I can definitely respect, a rematch between these two whenever they would have set, So just have to see, man. It could have been Holly's belt, but like I said, the referee didn't want to take a point away, so got a different winner.
I'll actually take a different approach at it and say no. Only because, well, one, this is her 3rd loss in a row. It's her 2nd loss in a row for the belt. And I don't know if people are going to want to pay in another pay-per-view to watch her get a 3rd shot at a belt with...
Well, I don't think many people paid for this one, but...
Yeah, I would agree. Well, true. It would that fight would get matched up with another good one that people would pay for, but yeah. I don't know if people want to constantly see Holly Holm get shots at the belt. And if she were to lose her next fight and then lose 4 in a row, I would be done with her, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't put her on cards, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think if they did give her a rematch and she lost again, I don't see her getting any other shot at a belt unless she went on some remarkable streak, just started tearing people up. But yeah, I would figure this would be her last shot at glory.
Yeah. Flash in the pan.
Yeah. All right, guys. Got word last night that Brock Lesnar was going to retire. What do you think about Brock Lesnar retiring, and what are your thoughts on his legacy in the UFC?
I mean, he made Dana White a lot of money. That's basically my view on it. Yeah. He came in. He was an attraction. He definitely was worthy of being in the UFC. It's not like this was a CM Punk type situation where somebody came in from the WWE world and just because of that fact. I mean, Brock was a legit athlete. And a superior athlete. He almost made a NFL football team without playing college football. Yeah. And I mean, he was a fun champion. I mean, you never knew what he was going to say, and his fights were usually exciting, even the ones that he lost. But I mean, he's aging. He's making plenty money still in WWE, working a light contract. He doesn't even have to show up every week or work that 300-day-a-week schedule most of them work. So, I mean, his money's coming from a good place. He was already suspended for a year, so that would just be another year on his body. And really the only fight that looked like might be winnable for him that he might take if they offered it to him would be another fight against Frank Mir, and at this point I'm not sure if that's a bankable fight. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of not surprising. Yeah. While it's quiet, nobody's really thinking about him getting popped for banned substance. He's just trying to get out while he's ahead. He got his last nice payday, so there you go.
Yeah, I can definitely understand, him going to the WWE, working a light schedule, getting paid great money. I can definitely understand, his position. Why worry about the UFC when you can, get his ass whooped by Goldberg at the moment and then, get an easy paycheck. So, nothing wrong with that, man. But, Brock, was a pretty interesting fighter to watch in the ring, very entertaining. So, just best of luck to him. And, it was just good to watch. And, like I said, Darnell, he's getting older too, and that 1 year suspension, that could have definitely gotten to him. But I got a question for you, man. Where do you think he ranks among the heavyweights in the UFC? Because, the heavyweights, that division, not really one of the top divisions, in the UFC, just talent wise. Where do you think he would rank?
I mean, just because it's not a very deep division, he's probably a top 5 all-time heavyweight champion. Yeah. But I just don't know how much that's saying. Like he's nowhere near the best. Yeah. I mean, you got like Kane, you got JDS. I think both of them, Stipe Miocic is probably already close to surpassing him. I mean, I would still take him over Shane Carwin, who was the interim champion. Probably would still put Randy Couture over him, even though he beat Randy to get a title. But I mean, he did a lot for the UFC, so I mean, I think he's still up there. But he came in at that time where the transition was going to not just being huge, but being well-rounded and a very skilled fighter, i.e., your Canes and your Stipe Miocic type fighters that can do a lot of things in the ring, and he was clearly passed by quickly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can definitely agree with that, man. Just that division, I definitely can say that I believe he's a top 5, but, you know, that heavyweight division UFC was pretty weak in my opinion. So, but still, you know, hey, you can't blame him for that. You know, he went in there for him to not really have that much. Well, you know, he was a All-American wrestler, I believe, but to go
NCAA champion.
Yeah, NCAA, yeah. So, you know, champion, then to go to WWE, and then how go to the UFC, you know, and get the belt. You know, that's major props to him. You know, he did his thing for sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, up next, I don't think we really even talked about this yet on the show, man, but I don't really recall. But it seems like, you know, every time we hear something new about Mayweather versus McGregor, you know, had McGregor doing sparring in the boxing ring a couple weeks ago. Now we got rumors coming out last night that, you know, there's pretty much a closed deal that Mayweather and McGregor is going to fight, even though some people are saying it's not true. Just your guys' opinion, man. Do you think we're actually going to see Mayweather versus McGregor?
I'm still on no side because every one of these stories that come out where they say, oh, they're close to a deal, I don't hear the UFC mentioned. And Conor McGregor, like it or not, he's under contract by the UFC. They would have to sign off on him taking a boxing match. And, I mean, if he tried to do it without their blessing, the UFC has the right to sue and lock this up in court for however long they want it to be, because they have the rights for him fighting. And if they're not included on it, they're not making money off of it, it's not happening as far as I'm concerned. So until I can see Dana White saying, yep, we signed off on this fight and it's going to happen on this date, I don't believe it until I see it. Yeah. This is like a unicorn to me. It's not real.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that, man. Just looking at, you know, Mayweather's biggest fight against Pacquiao, just look how long that took. And, you know, that was two guys in the same profession. Now you have McGregor, who's in the UFC under contract, and then Mayweather, who's retired. All these rumors popping up. You know, I just think, you know, if it happens, I think it's going to take a whole lot longer than that. You know, I think McGregor, he's going to have to be out of contract with the UFC for this to happen. So, it'll be interesting to see for sure, but I don't think this fight is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm actually on the fence. I'm not going to be quick to say yes or no. I know that, you know, it will basically be under Floyd Mayweather's terms. Like everything that goes on, it would almost have to be for him to agree to do it or to even want to do it. Yeah. And then, like you were mentioning, Darnell, you know, the UFC isn't even, you know, they don't even appear to be whispering behind closed doors about this. You don't hear it mentioned, period, when they talk about Conor McGregor. So it's going to be one of those situations where I won't be surprised if it happens, and I won't be surprised if it never happens. And to be quite honest, I won't care whether it happens or not. If it happens, maybe I'll catch it. If it doesn't happen, then I won't be any worse for wear. So I think it would just be kind of fun to talk about, see what happens, get entertainment value out of it, because you know you won't be getting, in my opinion, I don't think you'd be getting much of a fair fight. One guy who's been boxing his entire life, another guy who has probably only stepped in a boxing ring a handful of times. So it would be entertainment value for me, nothing to actually try and pick apart a fight and analyze it. But
this one is all about the talk before the fight.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Could you imagine the press conference for that fight?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Circus.
Like that should be the pay-per-view right there.
I'd agree with that. So, just keep your water bottles within an arm's reach so no one can grab them, and and hide anything you can throw. Yeah, hide anything you can throw.
Energy drink cans. That's what Conor is known for throwing.
Yeah. Now, would you guys, honestly, if this fight wasn't happening, say, next month, would you guys pay money to see that fight?
Depends how much.
I mean, I would consider it. I despise both individuals personally, but I mean, just to see one of them get knocked out, I guess maybe I would feel good about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would just buy it for myself. Maybe I would go to a fight party or go to Buffalo Wild Wings if they have it or something. I would make sure I probably see it, but I'm not sure if I would throw my hard-earned cash down for two guys that I can't stand.
Yeah. This just, that Pacquiao Mayweather fight left a sour taste in my mouth, man. Just for that one, and then a guy that doesn't have nowhere near the boxing experience as Mayweather. I would have to be in an extremely good mood to buy that. But what about you, Ty?
I mean, were you expecting a good fight between Pacquiao and Mayweather, though?
I was expecting it to be better than what it was. I tell you that. That was awful.
That fight was 4 or 5 years too late.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody knew it. Everybody knew it. And once again, that was a fight that was all the hype before the fight.
Yeah.
That fight was pure hype. And, I feel like, it would be the same thing here with McGregor and Mayweather. But, would I pay to see it? I'm not going to drop close to $100 to watch that. No way.
Yeah. That fight and this fight are examples of Floyd knowing how can I make the most money to put in the least work.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
He knew I'm taking Pacquiao now. We can see he's past his prime. Yeah, I'll fight him now because I can. His hands have slowed down where he's not going to hit me much, and I'm not going to get caught. With Conor, he knows this guy has a mouth. He'll sell to fight himself. But I will get in here and work this cat because he knows nothing about pro boxing and he won't be able to wrestle me.
Yeah.
So,
won't be able to use his feet.
Yeah.
So it's honestly a perfect example of, having great marketing and advertising, but you have a terrible product.
Yeah.
You get people all excited for something that sucks. Yeah, the XFL. Yeah, you get people excited for something that sucks, and you probably know it's going to suck.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you go for it anyway.
Now, how about this, Darnell? Because you picture Mayweather pulling off a James Toney and getting in the UFC.
No.
James
Toney was broke, so he knew he needed some cash. So he went in there and took that quick L and got himself some money and got out of there. Floyd is too rich and will not be embarrassed. So, no, there's no shot of him. I mean, that's why all talk of this has been boxing. No mixing of the sports and no best out of, I'll fight you in the ring if you fight me in the octagon. No, this is a boxing match. Floyd knows I'm controlling this whole situation. I'm promoting it. I'm going to make the lion's share of the money, and we're going to do it on my terms, which is in a boxing ring with 12-ounce gloves and no kicks, no elbows, no submission holds.
Yeah.
Straight up fisticuffs, which is where he knows he'll piece Conor McGregor up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything to add to UFC/boxing before we move on?
No, I'm done talking about the mythical fight.
All right. All right, guys. We got All-Star Weekend coming up this week. First thing we're going to talk about is the BBVA competition that's between the USA versus the world. Just want to know who you guys got in that. But before we, give our opinion on this game and whatnot, just to give out the roster, for this, for the U.S. team, we got Devin Booker, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Chris, Brandon Ingram, Frank Kaminsky, Jahlil Okafor, D'Angelo Russell, Jonathan Simmons, Karl Anthony Towns, Miles Turner, and for the world, we have Alex Abrinas, Dante Exum, Buddy Hield, Nikola Jokic, Trey Lyles, Willie Hernan-Gomez, Jamal Murray, Porzingis, and Sabonis. Oh, and Dario Saric. Think this would be an easy one for the USA?
I wouldn't say easy.
Yeah.
This world roster's got some talent on it. Nikola Jokic. I believe he's had at least one triple double this year.
Yeah, he got a triple double. The
other day.
This week, yeah.
The other day.
Yeah.
I think that was against Golden State.
Yeah.
And Dario Saric is starting to turn it up for the 76ers, who got a promising looking squad. Buddy Hield can shoot the ball. Porzingis can kind of do it all. I don't know that it's going to be a U.S. I like the U.S. team more. I'm a big fan of Devin Booker, could really shoot the ball. I really like Miles Turner, Pacers center. He can do a little bit of everything on the floor. And then Karl Anthony Towns is, rookie of the year last year. And, I like the USA's chances, but I don't know that it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I don't expect a blowout. I wouldn't be shocked if it was one, just because I do think the wealth of talent is more on the U.S. side. Players you mentioned already, D'Angelo Russell's starting to turn into the point guard people thought he might be, and just that size that the U.S. team is going to have, like that. They have some grinders in the paint that I'm not sure the world team will be able to deal with. And they also have some big guys that can pull it out and do other things, like with Karl Anthony Towns and Frank Kaminsky, who can stretch you out too. So I just feel like the U.S. team can do more, and they have more players that can do more. The world team took some hits, losing Embiid and Moutier. So I think that hurts their team and their chances a lot. Those are two pieces that would have been a big help to this roster.
Yeah.
And that just makes it more likely to me that the U.S. takes this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna pull with the U.S. on this one, especially with Moutier and Embiid not playing for the world. But we got some big names in this one: Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Porzingis. Is there anybody in this competition that you guys think could have a big game, or that you think people are sleeping on this year, anything like that you think people should look out for in this game?
Yeah, I would say Devin Booker. Phenomenally this year.
Yeah.
Phenomenally this year. It just one of those examples of doing it very quietly. I don't think many people know that, I think he's one of the league leaders in 20-point quarters this year.
Oh, wow.
He's really shooting the ball well. He's lighting it up. I think he could be someone that could go off for 30 plus points in this game.
Yeah, I would agree there. Just in these all-star type games, if you got a shooter, that's somebody that can end up being a star for you, just because defense ends up not being what you would expect or would want it to be. All-star games they're more for offense, and if you can shoot and people aren't going to be giving you space, that's all you need. And so, yeah, I think Devin Booker's one, and on the other side, that could be a night for Buddy Hield too.
Yeah.
If he catches a little bit of fire, he might light up some people for stepping back on him.
Yeah. We have some young talent out there, man. This would be a good way for them to get their name known for sure. Anything else to add for this competition, guys?
Nah.
Okay, up next we have the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. This one, I believe, is going to be the bigs versus the guards. Again, this year the bigs were able to pull it off last year. But for this one, we have Devin Booker, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis. It was supposed to be Joel Embiid, but he's getting replaced by Nikola Jokic, Gordon Hayward, Kristaps Porzingis, Isaiah Thomas, and John Wall. Who do you guys have in this one? And what do you think about this competition?
Didn't Karl Anthony Towns win this one last year?
Yeah.
I believe he did, and I believe I called that one. So let's see if I can make it 2 for 2.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with the guard this time. Someone who's having a good year, leading his team very well. I'm actually going to go John Wall on this one.
John Wall. All right.
Yeah, I'm also going with a guard. Wall was in the consideration for me, but I'm going with Isaiah Thomas.
Okay. Yep, I'm going with Isaiah Thomas in this one, too. Guy's having a phenomenal year. In my opinion, I think he's third.
He's having a phenomenal year.
Yes. Yes.
He guards nobody.
In the fourth quarter, he's having a phenomenal year.
that too, yes.
Hey, man. Dudes, look at his numbers are numbers, man.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah, so got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I just think, he'll be able to pull it off in this one. So, all right, anything else to add for the Taco Bell Skills Challenge?
No.
All right, now we got the 3-point contest. And this one, the participants are Eric Gordon, Kyrie Irving, Kyle Lowry, Wesley Matthews, CJ McCollum, last year's champ Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, and my man Swaggy P. Who do you guys got in this one? And you guys a little disappointed Curry's not in this one to see him and Klay duke it out?
Slightly, I guess, but it's not like a deal breaker because they actually do have a pretty nice set of shooters in this one where I'll be interested to see what happens with this one. But I guess to transition into my pick, I like Klay to repeat with an outside shot of Kyrie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Darnell. It's not make it or break it for me if Steph Curry's in it or not. I think the All-Star Weekend has formed into a good enough event that I would watch no matter who's participating. And I think the NBA deserves a lot of credit for that. Where a lot of people could kind of care less about an All-Star Weekend, people always tune in to watch the skills for the NBA. So I give the NBA some big credit there. I'm going to also go with Klay Thompson. I just feel like of all the people in the competition this year, he's the best guy shooting with a rhythm. He's probably most likely to, get on a run of 7 or 8 in a row. I think kind of like Darnell said, if someone were to have an outside chance, I actually think it would be Swaggy P. Because I feel like if he makes 3 or 4 in a row, when the crowd starts getting loud for him, he'll feed off of that. But I think Klay Thompson's just the best 3-point shooter of everyone.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna pull my former man Swaggy P to get it number one. Man, the Lakers have been ass this year, so I at least want to see them win in something. So I'm gonna be pulling for Nick Young in this one. But if he doesn't win it, I'm gonna pull with Klay Thompson. Just one of the greatest shooters of all time. Man, had a phenomenal 3-point shooting contest last year to win it. So I'm gonna pull for him if my man Swaggy P can't get it done. All right, anything else to add for the 3-point contest? All right, we have the dunk contest next, and who's going to be playing in this one is Derrick Jones Jr., Glenn Robinson III, DeAndre Jordan, and some people believe he got snubbed last year, but Eric Gordon had a phenomenal dunk contest last year. Who you guys feeling for this one?
I'll tell you, maybe it's a good thing Zach Levine didn't choose to participate, so our hopes weren't crushed by his injury.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a little bit easier of a letdown than him being healthy and not participating. So, but to move into it, Aaron Gordon did get snubbed last year. I will boldly say that to my grave.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how much more he can do from last year. I think a lot of people are going to compare what he's doing this year to what he did last year. And I think last year is going to be tough for him to top. So I'm actually going to go with an outside pick. I'm going to go with Derrick Jones Jr. I've just seen some tapes of this guy doing some dunks and pregame warm up lines, and he looks pretty impressive. So I'm going to go with the long shot here.
I'm gonna go with Gordon to be up to the challenge. I think he comes with some other craziness. He's been quiet about it. He was actually interviewed on SportsCenter today, and he said he still has some things up his sleeve, and I look forward to see what that could be, especially after all the stuff he pulled out last year. Putting the dunk contest back on the map. So I look forward to seeing what he can do.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Aaron Gordon on this one, but I will say do not sleep on DeAndre Jordan. Had the privilege to see them play the Pistons a couple of times up here. And man, him and Blake Griffin before the game, man, they were doing some sick stuff, during warm-ups and stuff to get ready for the game, man. Between the legs, dunks, 360s. This guy, he can dunk. I was very impressed with, just watching what him and Blake Griffin were doing just pregame, was good. So, I think, just don't sleep on him. I think he's going to pull some sick stuff out, come the dunk contest. So.
It's just tough for 7-footers to win this.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, definitely. But just real quick, do you guys think we'll ever see a dunk contest that will top the 2000?
With Vince Carter?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I mean, I thought last year was close.
Yeah,
last year was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, because even going back to 2000, I mean, most memory is just Vince Carter putting on a show.
Yeah, but I think overall, last year, just looking at how Levine and Gordon competed. Just topped it. Because 2000 that was just Vince Carter. Where last year, it was just two guys that were just pulling out some sick stuff. So
yeah. So I mean, I think this one rivals it, especially where you had two people pulling off. I was in my living room by myself, hopping up, oh my gosh, with stuff last year, and pretty much that was the last time I remember doing stuff like that. Would either be Vince Carter or Jason Richardson.
Jay Richardson.
Those are the last two. Yeah, that put on that kind of a show.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know if we'll have anything to at least be on par like how last year's was. I mean, I guess I say it every year, but it's they have to start running out of ideas at some point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the only real thing you can do is just bring out more stuff to dunk over. But once again, it's just, then what are we jumping over this year,
Yeah. So, just have to see, guys. All right, up next, we're about to get into the All-Star game. Just to announce the starters and reserves real quick before I get into our thoughts and everything. For the starters for the Eastern Conference, we have Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jimmy Butler. For their reserves, there's Isaiah Thomas, John Wall. Supposed to be Kevin Love, but we're going to get more to him in a little bit later, but he has the injury. So far, we didn't hear anything about a replacement. Even though I was reading last night, I was reading about Carmelo Anthony possibly taking a spot. We'll just have to see about that. But Kyle Lowry, Paul George, Kemba Walker, and Paul Millsap. And then for the Western Conference, the starters, we have Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis. And the reserves, Russell Westbrook, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins, Marc Gasol, DeAndre Jordan, and Gordon Hayward. Did you guys feel as if anybody got snubbed or should be starting or anything like that? Or how do you guys feel about this lineup?
Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
I think that's the obvious answer there in terms of a snub and should be starting.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's fans don't understand what we're witnessing with him this year. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I agree. Poor job by the fans, man. What this guy's doing is absolutely historic, man. Just unbelievable what this guy's just doing on the court. Might be a long time before we see something like this happen again. So, you just got to just be amazed at this guy. Definitely, just put him in the all-star starting lineup for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a clean sweep there. Russ should be starting with Harden. Sorry, Steph, you are a great player, but this year you should not be starting in this all-star game, and he probably knows it.
Yeah.
Westbrook's been playing out of his mind, and so is Harden. So that's I'm pretty clear on who I think the two guards should be. But yeah, that's the biggest grievance in it, and I mean, just more that the fans. I know this game is for the fans, but come on, we gotta lower that percentage that they have on this vote, just so people actually get rewarded that deserve it.
Exactly. Anybody else? You guys think got snubbed or anything? Or
I don't think too many people. I don't really think there was really that noticeable of a snub. You can make arguments for specific players here and there, but outside of the starting lineup, the deserving guys really get in.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there might be a small handful. Like you can make an argument for like a Bradley Beal who's playing really well this year. He could have got in, or just like I said, a small handful of players you have the arguments for. But with only the starting lineups being decided by the fans, the committee does a really good job of getting the correct players in.
Yeah.
All right. No Zaza Pachulia, man. Maybe next year, man. If they would have gave the fans a higher percentage of the voting, he would have gotten in there. But smart decision by the NBA, I think. Now, who do you guys have winning this, the East or the West?
I'm going to go with the West. I just think they have a better squad this year.
Okay. What about you, Darna?
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement there. I feel like the West has too many just consistent scores. I mean, just looking at the starting lineup, even without Westbrook, just anybody on this team can shoot basically out to the 3-point line, and they can all run. Like the West is just loaded with a really athletic team, as is the East, of course, and this is the best of the best, but I just feel like they'll be able to do a little bit more. And Antetokounmpo is as good as he is. If Anthony Davis is playing up to snuff, he's going to eat his lunch. Jimmy Butler, he's not going to have the height to deal with Durant if that's who they have him guard, or he's going to tire himself out dealing with Kawhi Leonard. And Kawhi, he's shown to be able to match up with LeBron pretty well. And then just the guards, I don't think there's much of a matchup there 2-on-2. I think DeRozan's a little bit of an odd man out there. As good as he is, he's just not quite on the level of Steph or Harden.
Yeah.
Kyrie is offensively, of course, but I just think the East, a couple of their players are just that half step down from what the West is putting out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, who do you guys have as your MVP for this game?
I'm going to go.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the guy that we said was snubbed. I think Russ goes into this game looking to get a triple double and possibly drop 30.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not be surprised there, but I'm actually going to take a little bit of a different route. I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. I think he scores just
Okay.
a boatload of points. I think he just scores a boatload of points. He'll 35. Then he'll wrap it up with like, I don't know, 6 or 7, 8 assists and 12 or 13 rebounds, I bet. Yeah. Just because nobody really does a whole lot in this game defensively. So I think just the efficiency he's brought this season is going to carry over here, and I think he's just going to shoot really well.
Yeah. For this one, I'm going to give, my first one is Russell Westbrook, but my runner-up, just because they're going to be playing in NOLA. I think we're going to have Anthony Davis. I think the guys are going to look out for him a little bit to try to see if he can get the MVP in his home town. So just, Russell Westbrook, and then if he doesn't get him, I'm going to go with AD.
Yeah, I would look at AD too, but I just feel like Russ is going to go in this game playing it like it's a playoff game and not an all-star game. I just have that feeling like he's got a chip on his shoulder that's the size of New Orleans right now. He's going to show it.
Yeah. Now, before we get into this last week's OKC Golden State game, I was kind of telling Darnell about this, when I was over his house last week. Something that I would just like to just have is, just a camera just to follow Kevin Durant and Westbrook around just this weekend, because this is going to be the first time they're going to be teammates since KD left. So, you see there's kind of a little animosity between the two, just to see how they're just going to interact with each other during this time of them being teammates and everything. So, will there be any words spoken or what? So,
I don't think from KD's spot, there's not as much hard feeling, but I think Russ has made it known he has no words for KD, and on the court, I assume he'll be able to go business as usual and try to win a game, but that's about the best of the relationship we're going to get as far as
pass the rock to him, man.
That's what I'm wondering. Just like, will he at least, if it's down to 2 seconds left in the game and Russ is double teamed, does he take the shot or throw it to a wide open KD?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he might even say he passed it to him for too many years. Now we'll hold on to it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Now, what did you think about last week's OKC Golden State game? Do you think the fans kind of did Kevin Durant dirty with how they were booing him and whatnot, or just what are your overall thoughts on that game?
No, they had every right to boo him. Yeah. I was all for it. I saw a lot of talk shows and stuff saying, should have they been booing him? He brought you the best years of your franchise. It's like, all right, I get it. Like, I even saw people say they should have given him a 1 or 2 minute video or an ovation or something. And I'm sitting here thinking, all right, they made it to the finals. They didn't win a ring. He chooses to leave for the best team in the league. And you want them to start praising him? It's like, if there was a ring involved, maybe.
Yeah.
But there was no ring, so I had no problem with the booing. They're mad at him. Let them be mad. I mean, we all knew Golden State was going to win that game.
Yeah.
Just I had zero problems with the booing. The cupcake stuff was a little weird, but
where did that come from?
I was cool with it.
It goes back, it's been an OKC thing for a while. It's back from when Kendrick Perkins was on the team.
Okay.
He had a saying for when anybody kind of took a flop or was whining about a cheap foul or something like that. He would call him a cupcake.
Okay. It's the idea of being soft. It's the idea of being soft.
Yeah. So it just kind of stuck with the team and it made its way through the city. So of course, since he left, everybody wants to call KD soft. So they all picked up. Those shirts got circulated and then they turned around and got trolled by him by the whole Warriors team after the game was over. But going to the game, Like, it was the most entertaining, not close game I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah.
Like pretty much the only time I've had more fun watching games that aren't close was like, sorry, Ty, but MSU blowing out Michigan in football games. That's about the only time I would have that much fun watching a game that's not close.
Yeah.
But like the intensity that was there from both sides, it was you could watch the game every play. If you took the score away, especially if you looked at how Westbrook was playing, you would think it was a 2-3 point game the whole time, even though they were down as much as almost 30. But just a fun game. The two stars, or the two marquee players for this game, they both brought it. They had their instance where they were talking trash at the end of the third, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where they had their little meeting at half court where Westbrook started yelling at him and everything. So I mean, it had everything you wanted outside of it being a close game, which, like Ty said, I don't think any of us expected, just because Golden State just has far superior talent outside of Russ. So the Warriors did what they needed to do, but we had an amazing game from Westbrook outside of a ridiculous amount of turnovers.
Yeah.
And KD played big too. Russ had 43 and KD had 35. Basically the NBA was watching dollar signs grow off of that late night game.
Yeah, you guys just about covered it. But from the standpoint with the fans, should they have booed him or not? Kind of on the fence about it, because, as a fan, you hate to see the guy go. So, you boo him. But one thing, KD, he did do a lot for the community in Oklahoma. I remember back when they had the tornado or whatever. He donated $1 million to him and stuff like that. So, he did some pretty humanitarian things for the community in Oklahoma. So, just from that standpoint, I can understand, hey, let's clap for him. Was, once the game starts, we boo him. But, this guy disappointed a lot of fans when he left, especially to go to a team like Golden State, a team that they almost could have beaten and went on for the championship. But, just a lot of animosity towards it. So I can definitely understand, where the fans are coming from in this one.
And you got to look at, like, I heard an interesting take on the fans' reaction. We're looking at it in the scope of the NBA, but I mean, up until the Thunder came there, what sports group or team do the people around there look to? The Sooners, which is a very entitled group of fans. Of course, they expect to win a national championship in football every year, even though they haven't done it in quite a time. They're one of those blue blood schools which has the hardware behind them, and they've really only had one season of bad basketball, and that was the first season after they came from Seattle. And after that, they've been a championship contender since. So basically, Kevin Durant took that away from a already kind of entitled fan base from their college football team, and they basically got an immediate contender in an NBA team when they got it. So they took it hard. I can understand it. I mean, he was a big fixture around there, but it did get a little bit ridiculous. What was there? There's a town in Oklahoma called Durant, and there's a petition to change it to Westbrook. And I'm not joking. That's a serious thing that happened. So they took it way harder than they needed to there.
Yeah. That's crazy. Before we move on, just a quick question for you guys. Obviously Russell Westbrook, he's having a historic season so far. But do you guys think he's making his team better?
Oh yeah.
You think he's like making his teammates better? Okay.
he's doing what he has to do for the talent that he has. Like for that game against Oklahoma City, I mean, probably his next best option, the next best option for that team after him is probably, I would say, Enes Kanter probably.
Yeah.
But he was sitting, so that was more points he had to score.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm amazed that they're in the playoff hunt right now. And what are they? Only three games out of the 4 seed?
Yeah, 6 games above 500.
Yeah. If they weren't getting the production they were getting out of Russ right now, they would be as bad as the Lakers.
All right.
Maybe worse.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anything else to add for the All-Star weekend?
No, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
NBA does their All-Star game better than any other league, so
yeah, I agree with that one for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. There's been some trades that's going on so far this week. What do you guys talk about? The biggest one is Serge Ibaka going to Toronto for, I believe, Toronto gave away their first round draft pick for 2018 for Serge Ibaka and Terrence Ross. Yep. So another one was Mason Plumlee for Yusuf Nurkic for Denver. What do you guys think about the trades so far? And, are there any other trades that you guys are predicting to happen? I know that we were talking about the Pistons as well with their trades before we started recording and everything. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the trades so far? And are there any trades you'd like to see happen that haven't happened yet?
I mean, I guess none of them have moved me that much. Like, definitely understand the move that Toronto made, just trying to keep up with Cleveland. But I mean, just really nothing's moved me yet. I'm more interested in what's possible. Like, I want to see if something happens. Does this Melo Love trade happen, or does Melo go somewhere else? Will he waive his no trade clause? Like you mentioned, the Pistons news, like, will Drummond or Jackson go? That's local news for us. And do the Sixers move one of their big men that's not Embiid? Like, seems like Okafor sound like the more likely. Where does he go, and does he make an impact for a team to, maybe be a playoff contender or a title contender?
Yep.
So I guess I'm more focusing on what still may happen more than what has happened.
Yeah, and I think the majority of people would agree with you. It's more about who could potentially be moved than who has been moved so far. I mean, there were a lot of trades involving good players that just weren't big splash trades. We've seen, Kyle Korver get sent to Cleveland. Spencer Hawes and Roy Hibbert got sent to, where was it? Milwaukee, I believe. Anyway, then Miles Plumlee just got recently traded, and now Serge Ibaka. Big, good players, just not splash trades. Although I do think the Ibaka trade is good for Toronto. He's another big body, a stretch four. Guy that can bang down low and, hit the occasional jump shot. So I think he's a good addition for them. Gives them some more depth. But once again, I think just the big conversation is the Carmelo Anthony talks, what's going to happen there. I even heard somebody saying that Boston should be trying to get him. And
yeah, I was hearing about that as well.
Yeah, it's honestly, he could go just about anywhere, to be honest. The only thing I would not like if he gets traded for Kevin Love would be the fact that then Cleveland would be basically gaining a brand new identity. Like, they're basically starting over if they trade for Carmelo Anthony, in my opinion, only because they won't be able to run the same style of offense. They would have to switch it up. Carmelo shoots the three well, but not as well as Kevin Love. He doesn't rebound as well. The outlet pass wouldn't be there anymore. So if Cleveland does try to execute that trade, that would be a very scary team still. But I just think that they would have to then find a whole new identity, find a new offense, figure out how to make it work. And granted, I don't, and I've said this before, I don't think Cleveland needs home court advantage in the playoffs, because if they get in, I'm going to pick them to win the East anyway. The only thing is going to be how much will this injury set Kevin Love back after the 6 weeks, which makes the trade talk even that more interesting.
Yeah. Just to get, we'll get right back to add to the Pistons. Because there was rumors you guys was telling me about with them want to get rid of Reggie Jackson or my man Drummond. How do you guys feel about that? Would you hate to see those guys go, or you think it's be in the best interest to see them leave, or what?
I guess it depends on what's coming back.
Yeah. I mean, I told you guys this earlier. Like, Andre Drummond has been the Pistons' best draft pick in the last 6 or 7 years, and they haven't exactly done much with it. Like, just to be honest, the team hasn't made it past the first round in 10 years. So I mean, the build around Andre Drummond project isn't working. Now I understand, Stan Van Gundy, give him a few years and that's fine and everything, but, he's going to want max contract, and, thankfully the hack of Drummond stuff's died down a little bit, or else on the floor when you wouldn't want on the floor the most. But, I saw some stats earlier saying that Ish Smith, the backup point guard, scoring more points than Reggie Jackson right now, averaging more points, averaging more assists, and shooting a better field goal percentage. So I don't know if you want Ish Smith to be the starter. I think Reggie Jackson fits the starter role better. And Ish Smith's just that high energy guy off the bench bringing what he needs to bring. But if either of those guys were to be moved, I wouldn't be too upset, only because I think both of those guys would yield good returns.
Okay.
I don't think one would get pulled over on the Pistons with those players, because you would have to get something really worth it to go through trading either of those guys.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to add to that, Darnell?
No, Tybalt covered it. I mean, it's they aren't at a level where I'm going to be heartbroken because they lost a player for a team that's barely in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will go right to Kevin Love. That the Cavs, they're losing him for 6 weeks. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys actually think he'll be traded? With the deadline being on the 23rd, I believe. And also, what do you guys expect from the Cavs while he's gone? Do you guys think they'll remain the number 1 seed or what?
I mean, I think there's a shot that they could slip to 2. Just depends on how Toronto meshes coming out of the All-Star break. 'Cause, I mean, even though anybody trying to prognosticate on basketball right now is still picking the Cavs to win the East, but as far as regular season play goes, it's not a guarantee that they finish with the best record in the East on the way to the competition there. So,
right now, the Celtics, they're 3 games behind. The Wizards are 5.5, and the Hawks are 7. So those are top, and the Raptors are 7.5. So
so I mean, it's definitely a realistic possibility that they drop down to a 2 or 3 seed once they're back at full strength. Though, do I think any other team has the tools to beat them in the East, even if they have home? No, I don't at this point. I am in line with LeBron and thinking that they they actually still need some playmakers if they want to have a shot at beating most likely Golden State or even San Antonio if they come out of the West. I don't think they have enough punch to keep up with those teams right now. So they have to be buyers right now. And, I don't think they're going to have as easy of a walk to the finals as they did last year. I think they're still better than any team in the East, but I don't think they're sweeping teams left and right like they did last year.
All right. What about you, Ty? You have anything else to add to that?
And no, not really. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland ends the season number 1 in the East, and I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow end up number 2 or 3. Just the idea that, the East has gained a lot of talent over the last few years. It used to be that the Eastern Conference was, there could be 25 game difference between the first and the 8th seed. But over the last couple of years, that started to shift a little bit, and the Western Conference has started to spread itself out, and the Eastern Conference has started to become, a closer knit group of teams. So, whether Cleveland ends 1st or 3rd or 5th, in my opinion, I don't think it really matters. If they trade Kevin Love, then all right, you got a healthy body for the next 6 weeks that you wouldn't have Kevin Love, but you may need to reconfigure what you're doing. But if they hold on to him, then they just better hope that he stays on track for that 6 weeks and maybe come back sooner. I don't know. Depends how fast he heals, but, hope that it doesn't take him too long to get his game feet under him. And they would probably need to get rolling pretty quick if they want to either get separation from a team or make up ground on a team. And anything can happen, really. But I think when push comes to shove and it's playoff time, LeBron will take over if he absolutely needs to. If Kevin Love's there or if another star player's there, great for him. That's just more help. But LeBron would not have a problem averaging close to 35 points in the playoffs if he had to.
All right. Nothing wrong with that. Guys, well, real quick, anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Just to move on and get ready to conclude the show, we talk about the New York Knicks, man. Dolan, Carmelo, Phil Jackson, even got Draymond Green, getting in on it, talking about Dolan, can it get any worse for the Knicks? And, just what the hell is going on, man? For real. This is crazy. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
They are dysfunctional at every level. I mean, that's about all I can say about them. They don't have a good product on the court. Their front office, they hired a guy that really just doesn't do his job. All he does is talk to the media and talk trash about his best player, who, Porzingis is a nice piece for the future, but right now Melo is still their best player. And now you got Dolan, who seems to have backed himself into a corner here, basically treating a Knicks legend like dirt, and nobody believes him when he says that Oakley was the cause of all the issue. Pretty much all the New York media, most players, everybody's siding with Oakley. And anybody that seems to know him is saying the story that Dolan is telling is not quite true, and all the witnesses Dolan said that were there, they aren't really corroborating his story. So, it can only be the Knicks that will just give you this level of ridiculousness. This whole Charles Oakley situation spilled over into a Rangers game. The crowd was chanting for Oakley at a Rangers game. So there's no winning for Dolan. They are the definition of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy. I had some pretty decent expectations for this team. We was talking about them in the preseason, just how I expected them to be, possibly being a playoff team and whatnot. But man, this is just crazy what's going on with them right now, man. But despite, I was reading it today, with all this turmoil that's going on in the organization, they're still the most valued team in the NBA with $3.3 billion worth of value for the team, most valuable team. But that's crazy, man, just what's going on right now.
Yeah, and didn't even LeBron James say Charles Oakley for president?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally getting to be a circus there in New York. Kind of like you were getting at a little, Trey, that's still a very valued franchise, and the fans of New York still see them as, the Patrick Ewing years, the Earl Monroe years, it's just simply not the past. This Knicks franchise is in disarray. They bring in Carmelo Anthony, and then they bring in Phil Jackson to try and fix it all, and none of it's really worked. Now they're trying to go the super team route, but it's not really a super team. And
the past their prime team route.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of the Knicks trying to be innovative, trying to fit the curve of the NBA, but just failing in all facets of it. That's why recently when I heard that the Lakers want to put Magic Johnson in the front office, I'm thinking they better not. Look at what Phil Jackson's doing. So really it's to me, it's just that the Knicks are just frustrated in all facets of everything. So any negative light that's shining on them, in this case, Charles Oakley pushing people at a game, they're going to try and handle it. Then they ban him from Madison Square Garden, and it was kind of like, really? Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of this in my life. So it's all just a big mess, and I don't know what it's going to take to fix it. Probably winning basketball. I mean, winning covers everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless that team starts winning and making it to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs, this will be happening for a while. And especially if they lose Carmelo Anthony and don't get a big time player at least in return or in free agency the following year, that franchise is going to be some deep trouble.
Yeah, but are they in a situation right now where basically for them to turn it around and start winning, is it a situation where they're either going to have to, the Dolans will have to sell the team or back off far enough where they let somebody smart run things? Because, I mean, they put Phil Jackson here. They gave him total control, let him do the job how he wants. He doesn't have to be in New York at any time. He doesn't have to assist in scouting players. He doesn't go watch college kids play. He doesn't go overseas to watch any of the European players play. He's just drafting off of tapes, just people's word for it. I don't know. Watching the ACC Big Ten Challenge, I don't know where he's getting his game data. But I mean, he did make a nice draft pick with Porzingis, but that's about the only good thing I can say he's done. Everything else he's done has just caused issues. Like I said, if he has an issue with how Carmelo Anthony plays, that's perfectly fine. I have issues with how Melo plays at times, but to make it a media circus where Melo has to answer for every single thing Phil Jackson tweets or says in an interview, I think that's very unprofessional and ridiculous, and just another example of just how the Knicks seems like they're being ran by a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, a lot of times in sports, there's a trickle-down effect. If the owners aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, then the front office isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if the front office isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, coaches tend to not do what they're supposed to be doing, and then therefore the players aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, to say, maybe it's just time Dolan sells the team, I wouldn't say that that's a far gone conclusion. I think that's a very realistic option. When I talk about the Detroit Lions with you guys, I've mentioned that before. I don't know if the Lions will do anything until the Fords sell the team. I don't know. But I do believe in the trickle-down effect, and Dolan not handling himself professionally, not handling the franchise professionally. It's bleeding all the way down to the players. And, I mean, I'm not going to blame the players because it's literally everybody that claims the Knicks franchise.
Yeah, just one thing, Darnell, you kind of touched on Phil Jackson, about, some of his antics, just, I don't know if he still has this, like, coaching mentality or what, but there would be some instances where, when he was a coach, he would say something about a player on his team or the opposing team that he was going to be playing soon to kind of ruffle the guys up, get under the skin a little bit. But, right now, being the president or whatever, this is not, I believe, not the way how you should be handling things, going to the media talking about your players and whatnot. If you have a problem with one of your players, especially like with Carmelo, call him up to the office or whatnot. But, I don't really think he's been handling that position well right now, especially how he's just been, tweeting about his teammates and stuff when he should be keeping some of the stuff he's been saying behind closed doors. So.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. He's doing things that he would do when he was a coach, but not getting the same outcome.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because he doesn't have a great front office behind him that makes sure he has a good enough team that if he singles out one person and they're pissy for a couple weeks, that they still have enough production on the other parts of the team. Like this is not the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. This is not the Lakers with Shaq and Fisher and help me out, Trey. This is your squad, but with those championship types, yeah. Like this is not those teams where he can say Kobe's shooting too much, he's hogging the ball. And basically Kobe takes it as a challenge to start facilitating it more.
Yeah.
No, this is the team president interfering in what the coach is supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all noticed, but Jeff Hornacek is supposed to be the coach right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you would never think that because you never hear a peep out of him and there's no news because his team is so terrible. Like, I mean, he's probably happy that he's not in the news because his team is so bad.
Out of this shit.
Yeah. So, but Phil is just constantly overstepping bounds. His job should be building a team that Hornacek can work with and maybe try to build a playoff team. All he did basically, from like I've said, he made one good draft pick and then his free agency moves have been god awful.
Yeah.
He looked at players that I guess maybe they played good against him when he was coaching. Like, did Derrick Rose go off for 40 against the Lakers at some point before he retired, and he just remembered that? So I'll hire him. And did Joakim Noah have a really good defensive game against one of his centers? So let me bring him in. These guys are not good anymore. Not to the level that you think you have a super team good. At least they're still serviceable players, of course, but Derrick Rose is not jumping over people anymore, and Joakim Noah is not shutting down any other offensive player now. They have a bad roster and a dysfunctional front office. This team is just ridiculous right now.
Yeah, and even at that point, isn't Kyle O'Quinn seeing more floor than Joakim Noah anyway?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, like that roster just looks like somebody doesn't know how to draft a team. Like if you had everybody in the NBA all laid out and you could pick the worst possible team to brag about having, this would be it.
Yeah. Bad, man. Now, who would you guys put most of the blame on? Dolan or Phil or what?
I mean, I think it's an even mix between Dolan and Phil because I mean, he's not a good fit. For this position, he is lazy. I mean, I guess I'll just come out and say that he's not doing what other team presidents do to build rosters. He's not getting his hands dirty, so to say. But the person that hired him also has to take some of this.
Oh, absolutely.
This heat. If just because you were hiring a coach that has all these rings, and you put him in a personnel building role, you cannot give him this much power. I don't care how many rings he has. This guy comes in and says, I want full control of the franchise. I don't want you to expect me to be in any office or on a plane to go see this prospect play. No, I'll figure it out. And you say, okay.
Yeah, just
let me give you a bunch of money and let you do that. I'm not a billionaire owning a team, but I think I'm smart enough to say that's a bad deal and you can hit the bricks. I'll find somebody else.
Yeah, I'm going to say exactly what you just said, but in some different words. Like, I don't care that Phil Jackson is an NBA legend. To handle a franchise with careless hands and basically zero interaction, remarkably stupid. Like, let's be honest. I mean, how much interaction do you think he actually has with the front office, with other people in that front office? Like, when you have a meeting with people and he's the one guy being phoned in and basically says, well, this is what I want to do, that's not very effective. I mean, once again, just look at the roster. I mean, they took the biggest risk in the draft last year in Porzingis, and it worked out. I mean, good for them. Pistons took Darko, and it failed. But I mean, like you said, Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, these guys are on the other side of the hill. They're not what they were. Just seeing him be that way, and then Dolan, like you said, the guy that hired him, not doing anything about it. You're just he's gonna ride the Phil Jackson's a legend card until this franchise is being talked about being shipped out of New York. I mean,
Dolan's already started taking some little side shots at him.
Is he?
Dolan did an interview.
I haven't seen that.
He did an interview on New York radio in regards to this whole Oakley situation, and the interviewer asked, just like, well, what do you have to say to the fans that are, they're not happy with the product on the court, and what's going on with all this? His answer was, ask Phil.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to plant some seeds there. Like, don't put all this heat on me. He's there too, but like we just said, you hired him though.
Yeah, and he's allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you guys think it would be far-fetched to say we could see Phil Jackson's time in New York up as soon as the end of this year?
It would be smart.
Yeah.
It would be the smartest move they've made all season if it did turn out that way, but I doubt it. I don't have enough faith in the Knicks to make a good decision.
Yeah, and at that point you're basically saying you don't think in reality Dolan has the cojones to kick him to the curb.
Yeah.
Because he's Phil Jackson.
Well, and I think he's just one of those guys that, sometimes money makes you think you're a little smarter than you are, even if you inherit it.
True.
Because, this is an inherited team from his father, but, he wants to feel like he made the right move, so he's probably going to give Phil enough rope to hang the team and not just himself.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anything else to add? What about the Knicks or UFC or whatever?
The Knicks are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on right now, and even though they're winning, I have a hard time watching it.
Yeah.
It's like awesome. they're not even a fun team to watch.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's bad for them.
I'm not, even if they're playing Golden State, it's not appointment viewing. Yeah. Not for me.
Yep. Just for me, man, just like to wish old Jabari Parker speedy recovery, man. I don't know if it's a Simeon curse or what the ballers in Chicago comes to the NBA, but D Rose, he was having a problem with his injuries and stuff, and Jabari Parker, he's this young guy, he's getting injured too, man. He's gonna be out for 12 months. So just him, man, that dude's a baller. So yeah, I'd like to see him back on that court, man. That hurts my goodness, Milwaukee Bucks, because they were just getting Middleton back and everything, man. So just have to see, man.
Yeah, that's rough. Second ACL injury on the same knee. And he was playing good ball this year too. That sucks to see for a young player like that.
Yeah, so I hate to have all that potential and then turn into a D Rose, man. When you could have been so much better, but those injuries kind of got to you. So just hopefully, he's a young guy. I think he would have been a senior in college this year. So he's young. Hopefully, he just bounces back from his body, can handle it and everything, and he'll be back to balling on the court. So
yeah, and I'll even take that a quick step further, just real quick before you close it out. Just everybody facing the injuries. Zach LaVine, another young talent.
Oh yeah, Zach LaVine. Yeah.
Justice Winslow's out for the year. You can even throw in Kevin Love out for the next 6 weeks. But yeah, there's been a few guys who got the injury bug this year pretty bad. So speedy recovery to all that.
Yep. All right, guys. Anything else?
No.
Alrighty. As always, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the show. You can follow us on Twitter at DKM_cast. You can also check this podcast out on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, all of that. Just hit us up in that search engine. But other than that, man, I'm just looking forward to this All-Star weekend, man. Hopefully it'll be as entertaining as last year. So catch y'all around, man. Y'all take it easy. Peace.